This episode of Gators Breakdown is brought to you by BetterHelp. Prioritize your well-being. If you need support along the way, BetterHelp has got you covered. Visit betterhelp.com/gators and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/gators.
We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Coming at you not long after the 49-17 blowout loss to Texas for the Gators. Never really in doubt. Was this when Texas jumped up early, which we knew was going to be a problem for Florida if that happened, and it certainly played out that way. Florida down big at half. And never really made this one a game. So, of course, a lot of angles to this one, at least on the Florida side. DJ Lagway being out, many starters being out. We'll get into all that. Of course, was that the major storylines for this one? Sure. A major part of the score differential? Sure. Everything? In this scenario, we got plenty to talk about with that one. So, everybody hit that like button right here on YouTube. If you're joining me live, thank you so much. I know a lot of other games going on now. A little brighter than normal. Got a TV over here with some other games and another tablet over here with some games. So if I'm looking left and right and back and forth, I'm trying to keep up with some other college football around as well. Certainly keeping an eye on that Georgia Ole Miss game. But everybody hit that like button. Give us a big like right here, what we're doing. I know you don't like the result. I don't either. Let's talk about another loss here for the Gators, falling to 4-5 on the season. Everybody subscribe right here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform if you're checking us out on the audio version. And, of course, Gators Breakdown Plus link is in the description. Get access to that Discord server where the conversation's going on pretty lively right now. Really lively on game days, of course. But you guys heard the chat we had last week of when Billy Napier it got announced that he was going to stay as Florida's head coach. So you can take part in things like that right there at Gators Breakdown Plus. So, on this episode, there won't be a huge deep dive into the game itself as far as strategy. This is right after, not long after the game goes final. We'll have I'll watch them replay on Sunday, and we'll talk about it. But in that regard, there's really not much to talk about. Florida got a butt whooped. That's just all there was to it. 49-17 Texas over Florida. It gives Billy Napier his biggest loss as Florida head coach in year 3. And look, with the announcement of keeping Napier, looking big picture doesn't do much good here about hiring or firing right now with that decision's been made. If more losses look like this, can it change? Possibly. I wouldn't bank on it. So, we'll take a look at up to this point, this game itself, and there's not much to say except, for me, under no circumstances should Florida ever be in a situation to look like this, especially in a coach's 3rd season. I get the injury part of it. I just don't think you should be in that situation in year 3. Losing with all the injury scenarios, sure, that can and will happen a lot. But to be absolutely blasted, 35-0 at halftime, end up losing 49-17, that's unacceptable. I picked the final 34-13. Texas winning, and was even told by many. I got text messages from friends, colleagues, other people, and Gators Breakdown Plus surprised that I had picked the score with that big of a spread. I was even told by someone on here in YouTube, leaving a comment that they were going to laugh when the final score was closer than that. We knew about the injuries all week, and I still got that feedback. It's still, I didn't see this blowout coming. And I'm not saying, given the scenario, this shouldn't happen, though I think that can be questioned too. But this situation should never happen in the first place. You shouldn't be in this situation. Given the way the team has been constructed and the limitations we already have discussed, sure, it can happen. And that's the issue. Where we're at, given the situation dealt, losing isn't the issue. Is getting absolutely blasted by this fashion in year 3 of a tenure. That's where I'm at on it. What we learned today is playing hard, playing better has its limits. Injuries play a part. Hard to hold up with all that when playing a really good team. Overall, not really too different from what I expected on offense. I knew it was going to be a rough day. I did expect more on defense. Going back to the game preview, I expected to have their success given their offense and Florida's injuries in the secondary, but I didn't expect it to this level. Florida's front seven, still pretty healthy. Couldn't create any kind of consistent pressure. Billy Napier mentioned it in the post game. Couldn't get the rush and the coverage to play together. Needed that front to step up, play well to make up, for a secondary, but it wasn't there. We saw it last week against Georgia. They're causing turnovers because the front played well. If you could replicate that, you could stay in this game a bit better. Wasn't there. I was worried, and I brought it up, trying to replicate all those turnovers the defense has forced lately, but there was some hope there because Ewers had turned it over a bit this season, but not today. Not today. Let's go to Billy Napier's opening statement after the game. He says, okay, look, we struggled to get anything going early. Obviously, a first half where they have 353 yards and about 10 yards of play. Here he goes. Felt like the rush and the coverage never married up, and then we didn't tackle very well. Just overall fundamentals and technique. Obviously, in the back end, we struggled to keep up with them and tackle. You're not going to win turning the ball over 4 times against a team like that. We had 2 tipped interceptions. We had a fumble, short missed field goal. Any chance of momentum, we missed a field goal early. Look, I do think the kids continue to play with fortitude in the second half, but not good enough. I think overall it got out of hand in the first half. You looked up and the game was over. We have to evaluate the effort. We have to evaluate the point of attack issues that we had and just have to flat out play better. I didn't think we defended them very well. Obviously, Aiden fought his tail off out there today. Some good things for a guy making his first start against a really good defense. One of the better defenses in the country. Good to see him move the team a little bit in the second half. But again, we rushed the ball, but in general, we had no continuity. You go into the game understanding that you're playing with your third quarterback and you have to defend them, and we did not do that. I think we lost a little bit of our steam there because of that. Just in general, not good enough, period. Okay. Agree with a lot of what he said. Agree with a lot of what he said there. Not good enough, certainly. That's my angle to it, too. Too critical, maybe. Too harsh, maybe. Head coach is backing it up. So, of course, coming from him weighs a lot more than it comes from me. But agree with a lot of what he said. Not good enough. So the key part here, we have to evaluate the effort. We have to evaluate the point of attack issues. The effort part is always, to me, he's got a better beat on that than any of us. So him bringing it up there, we'll see. I do think, effort can kind of go out the window when you're down so big or early on, knowing it was also going to be very difficult in the first place there. But, year 3, here we are, Billy Napier getting his biggest loss in his tenure at Florida. All right, let me get some comments before I will go into the game a bit more. Oh, what's up, everybody? Thanks for, short notice. Not really an announcement. I was going to do an episode, instant reaction. It's kind of tough. I wanted to watch some more football, and like I said, I'll be looking around a little bit. I do want to watch these other games going on, but certainly getting ready for Bama LSU tonight. So if you're listening on the replay, you might have to deal with a little bit of football that was happening at this time. Let's see. But first of all, Kyler Melvin, it is. In all kinds of weather. Absolutely. We can critique. Doesn't mean we're not fans. Doesn't mean we don't want to see better. Doesn't mean, it's not going to dig our head in the sand. I'm not. Nathan Pate, of course. There we go. Won't back down. Beat LSU. And we'll see what LSU looks like tonight. And Florida may have DJ Lightway back next week. So everything we saw today may be all for naught. May look a whole lot different. Maybe Florida gets a whole lot of guys back coming up. It does seem like the plan, if you listen to the pregame, is to have DJ back next week against LSU. Was very close to playing today. Was beginning of the week, no, he's not going to play. Then Wednesday, Thursday, started hearing even more behind the scenes that, hey, he may try to give it a go. A lot of parties got involved. Parents got involved. All that stuff. Just everybody kind of finally decided to, all right, let's just wait. Against LSU, let's see if he's ready then. Gilbert M., the U is not back. Oh, that was good. Georgia Tech with wins over Florida State and Miami this year. And Georgia Tech was playing very beat up today. Did have their starting quarterback back, of course, Haynes King, but do get the upset win over Miami. But I think somebody had said they were playing without 8 starters and get the big win over Miami. Bull Gator. In defense of Napier, if Lagway was playing, UF would have only lost by 3 touchdowns. Yeah, the defense, like I said, good. I know what was happening there on the back end, and I even said it in the preview that more than likely it was going to be Bridges and McClain playing cornerback. Dede was limited, Devin Moore out. But look, the first touchdown of the game or the second touchdown? I forget which one it was. We'll go through the game here in just a second, but that's Jordan Castell getting lost. That had nothing to do with injuries. That had nothing to do with depth. That's your starting safety not knowing his assignment, getting lost in play design by Texas, and there's a Texas touchdown. Rick H says, I trust that Napier keeping his job through next year. Part of the agreement had to be that he hires an offensive coordinator. We talked about that the other night. I do think that's certainly in the conversation. Javi Billionaire. Hey, we got dog walk in the first half. The game was so bad. And yeah, it was pretty much over. Billy Napier said it as well. Pretty much over with in the first half, unfortunately. And fortunate for so many Gator fans that took the trip to Austin as well. Now, I know they've been having a good time the last couple of days. And the game kind of, like I said, even my prediction, most predictions were along the same lines. Not this fashion that I remember seeing from much of anybody. So still having a good time out there in Austin, but stinks that all the fans who went for Austin had to endure a 49-17 defeat there. Zachary Garner, just here to thumbs you up, Dave, but I am done with the Gators for now. So burned out on this. That's the scary thing. With the announcement last week, a result like this, I know many people are in that boat. A lot of apathy setting in. Certainly nothing today is going to bolster that after this performance. I hope down the road that Florida can give us something to cheer about and people feel better about going into next year, but a lot has to happen. Some better performances to end this year, see how Florida attacks the roster to get a lot of people back on board after a performance like this. And kind of going to that same point, if this is a Gator fan here, this is the Anton says, this is the narrative from so many out there. Don't worry, only a few more crushing defeats left this season. There's not a lot of confidence after this one. JLB, I was just telling someone I won't watch another game till he's fired. That Napier or Strickland. I'm assuming you mean Napier there, but I'm not sure. Ray Howie says, what do you expect? We're down to a 4th quarterback. Half team is injured. 3rd quarterback, not 4th. And still, like I said, what I saw on offense is about what I expected. I had Florida scoring 13. They scored 17. I had a final score of 34 for Texas. As I said, I just expected a little bit more from the defense. Not much more. Not shutting out Texas. Not by any means. And not what I meant. But I expected, a defense that has taken steps, a defense that has come on strong as late. Now, we chronicled it week by week, especially in the bye week, what was coming up for Florida in this November schedule. But Texas had one of their better offensive performances of the season. Quinn Ewers, 5 touchdown passes today. That's a career high for him. So, no, I didn't expect records to be set. Let's see. Seth O'Brien, Gator here. Dave, at what point do we start adamantly calling for Strickland to be fired? Anytime you want. There's plenty that has happened. Just the football program. I know people want to fire him already for that. Of course, we don't talk much other sports right here on Gators Breakdown, but the whole basketball scandal going on right now, too, with Todd Golden. So there's a lot to point to, with all the other scandals that have went on under Scott Strickland and a lot of the performance of other sports that are not championship level, what we were accustomed to seeing in recent history of Florida sports, that's taking a dip. I think it's more than fair. Bull Gator says, one more thing. So much for the team rallying. From the second quarter on, the defense was on cruise control. Score could have been a lot worse. Yeah, there were a couple of times Texas had some deep shots down the field where, were dropped touchdowns, dropped passes down the field. Yeah, it could have been. Let's see. Gilbert M, kind of going to the point I was kind of making about, in year 3, you shouldn't see a result like this. You shouldn't be in this scenario. Warner on the roster is unacceptable, Gilbert M says. Dude can't throw, look like a Yale quarterback playing at Florida. Look, we've chronicled, again, all the quarterback storylines Florida has found themselves in. And we see it play out now. Now, granted, as I said, it's only select programs out there are going to have 3 capable quarterbacks of going and winning a lot of SEC games. But still, you'd hope you have something a little better than what we've seen here. But still, the Jaden Rashada saga, Austin Simmons, who we saw march Ole Miss down the field against Georgia earlier today. We all know about the storyline. So the path had been there for better quarterback depth for Florida. Just some crazy, weird scenarios playing out where it's not set up that way right now. Let me get the Chris Potter. Thanks for the donation, man. Means a whole lot. Really means a whole lot. You guys don't have to do that. Of course, it's here. If you feel like doing it, sure, right ahead. But I don't. I don't come on here begging for the the stars and the donations and stuff. Most of the time, you guys just do it on your own. That means a lot. That means a lot. Look, Chris Potter says it's time to lower expectations. That's where Scott Strickland has brought us. That's scary. I've been behind and I beat the drum. Don't lower your expectations and yell out from the top of your lungs what your expectations are. That's the only way things will ever change. If you don't like what's going on. Now, granted, at the same time, there are realistic expectations, but your overall expectation for what this program should never change. And demand should never change. Absolutely. You voice it from the mountaintops. Now, as you said, it's time to lower expectations. Yeah, I mean, you can lower your expectations for what you reasonably expect to happen, but don't lower your expectations for what you want to happen. All right, I'll get back to some comments, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. I will try and keep up where I was and kind of maybe get back to where we were here so I don't miss much here. But certainly, I'll go through the game a bit as quickly as I can. I know, as I said, it's kind of polarizing. Most people say they like to drive-by-drive, so I'll go drive-by-drive. It does help tell the story of the game a little bit. But we got more to get to. This episode of Gators Breakdown is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, we've turned the calendar to November, and this month, it's all about gratitude. This is certainly a time I can tell you, Gators Breakdown listeners, thank you for all your listening, all your support, all your participating. It means a lot. But there's another person that we do not think enough, and that is ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that, we're trying to make sense of everything that's out there in this pretty crazy world. And look, that's not easy. That's where therapy with BetterHelp comes in. Therapy isn't just about solving problems. It's about empowering you to become your best self and reconnecting with your inner strength. It's a journey of self-discovery and growth. I've seen firsthand how therapy can help family members and friends. It can make a difference. BetterHelp brings therapy to you. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched up with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you're thinking of starting therapy so you can be the best version of yourself with the holidays coming up, get started with BetterHelp. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Gators today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Gators to get 10% off your first month. All right, let's get a little review of the game here. Texas gets the ball first. They started their own 25. Quinn Ewers starts 3 of 3 on the first 3 plays, and they all go for first downs. Look, going to it, Sark, Texas head coach, of course, a master on scripted drives. As long as Ewers is not turning it over, that's what has happened in recent games. He's going to dial up some plays. Every play for Texas going for positive yards until a 2nd and 3. Cam James gets in the backfield, disrupts a run. Bryce Thornton finishes the play. Texas loses 7 yards there. So it's 3rd and 10 at the 23. Texas calls a timeout. At this point, it was 7 plays, 4 first downs. It would be a big recovery for Florida if they could do something here. Well, on 3rd down, TJ seriously gets the sack. Texas has to settle for a field goal. That is no good. So Florida's defense kind of survives early on here. Florida gets the ball on their own 32. First down in 2 plays to the 46. Jaden Ball with a 9-yard gain. Eventually gets to 3rd and 15. A couple plays later, DK gains 7. Gators have to punt. Texas with the ball at their own 15. So now you got a little bit of field position in your favor if you're Florida. Gums almost, and how different maybe would the game have turned out? Gums drops into coverage, almost gets the interception on 2nd down. Florida would have been in great field position at that point, and would have been an early turnover for Quinn Ewers, as we had seen recently. 3rd and 10, and this is kind of where the game changed so much at the beginning portions. 3rd and 10 after the dropped interception, almost get the sack. You have great coverage. Ewers scrambles for a gain of 9. So Texas goes for it there, 4th and short, and they barely get it. Next play, Isaiah Bond on the reverse goes for 44 yards to the Florida 30. So you were that close to getting an interception, that close to sacking Quinn Ewers, and then a 44-yard play a couple plays later to the Florida 30. So after being so close to stopping the drive, Texas now in scoring position again. 2nd down, Ewers finds Matthew Golden for the 29-yard touchdown. And look, that's as I said, going back to that one, that's nothing. That play in particular, not about injuries, not about depth. That was Jordan Castell just lost in coverage. 7-0 Texas. Florida gets the ball. Warner goes deep on 1st down. That's an incompletion to DK. Next play is incomplete too, so Florida behind the chains. 3rd and 10 from their own 25. Not ideal. Boardingham's flagged for a false start, so it's 3rd and 15. Jacoby Jackson fumbles, and Texas returns the fumble, and after the penalty, has the ball at the Florida 22. 2nd and 10. Ewers finds tight end Helm on the RPO after Miles Graham comes in for pressure. Wide open catch and run for the touchdown. And that quick, it's 14-0 Texas. Gators start their own 16 on this drive. 2nd and 7 run goes for 11 for Jaden Ball to the 30. 3rd and 8 a couple plays later. And Warner finds Burke for 6. That's the end of the 1st quarter. It's 4th and 2 and a punt for the Gators. Texas starts ball at own 20. Holding on Texas. Penalty there makes it 1st and 20 at their own 10. No gain on a tight end slip screen. So it's 2nd and 20 and incomplete there. Sets up a 3rd and 20. Pass rush package from Florida. Get pressure from Tyreek Sapp and Cameron James. Ewers has to check it down. Longhorns punt. So, okay. Force a stop. Florida gets the ball at their own 46, down 14-0. Best chance to get something going here. Down 14-0, but still a chance. Pistol play action to Jackson. Finds DK wide open on that over route for 39 yards to the 25 of Texas. And then we see it for the first time. Jaden Ball's in the Wildcat on 2nd and 10. He gains 6. Something I thought we'd see a little bit more of. Thought we would see it. Didn't see enough of it. Ends up a 3rd and 4. Florida has to call a timeout. Looks like some kind of miscommunication at the time with headset not working. 3rd and 4 from the 9, and Ball only gets a yard. So Florida trots out for the field goal. False start on the field goal. Now it's a 30-yard field goal, and Trey Smack misses the field goal. So that was your best chance. You were in scoring position. Certainly would have loved a touchdown getting down there, especially after the big play to DK to start the drive. And then the inexcusable false start on the field goal, backs up. Florida misses a field goal. Still 14-0 Longhorns. Texas starts with their own 20. Get to 3rd down and 7 from the 17. No pressure whatsoever. Ewers finds Bond for 19 yards. Ball now at the Texas 42. And the long ball dropped. As I said, Texas even had more chances here. A long ball dropped there at that scenario. Florida catching a break. Better throw and catch would have been a touchdown. Gets to 3rd and 6 at the Texas 46. Passes incomplete as Ewers looks deep again. So another Texas punt. Wanted to point out that drive too because Texas had their chances. Florida gets the ball at their own 17, letting Warner pass on first down, gets pressure. That ball calls incomplete. 3rd and 9 just after a couple of plays. Screen to Tank. Can't really find a way to get him involved. Try to get him involved here in the screen game. Loses 2 yards. Florida's 0 for 5 on 3rd down at that point. Punt the ball to Texas. Texas got the ball at midfield, runs a misdirection screen to Quintravion Wisner for a 50-yard catch and run. That quickly is 21-0. So previous 2 drives got some stops. Had your chance to score. Texas couldn't give them too many more opportunities. 50-yard catch and run touchdown. 21-0 Texas at that point. Florida's next drive starts at their own 17. 1st and 10, Warner finds Jacoby Jackson for 13. Next play, Jackson runs for 5 and then add on a personal foul in Texas. Ball's at midfield. On 2nd down, Jackson runs for 5, sets up a 3rd and 5. Misdirection run for Jackson, gains 8. So Jackson really with a lot of success on this drive. Down to the Texas 37. First 3rd down conversion for the Gators right there. 2 tight end set. Jackson runs for 6 to the left. Warner tackled on 2nd and 4 with no gain. Florida calls a timeout with 2:04 left. So now it's 3rd and 4. Warner just heaves it under duress. Pass ball is incomplete. Also holding on Austin Barber. So it's now a 3rd and 14 at the Texas 41 with a 2-minute timeout coming with 1:58 left. On this 3rd down, Texas brings pressure. Warner gets sacked. He never saw it coming. Ball back at the Texas 48, 4th and 21. Another drive that was doing some good things, get in the scoring position. You take a sack on 4th down. That takes Florida out of field goal range. Texas gets the ball back after a touchback, of course, starts on their own 20. 1:46 left in the first half. On 2nd down, Ewers finds Blue on the swing pass, catch and run for 45 yards. Being aggressive here to end the first half. Derek Wingo not quick enough to keep up. Ball's at the Florida 32. 2 plays later, Ewers finds Matthew Golden in the end zone over Cormani McClain for his 4th touchdown pass of the game. 28-0 Texas. Florida gets the ball back, starts at their own 25. On the 2nd play of the drive, Warner's pass gets intercepted with 58 seconds left in the first half. Texas stays aggressive, scores in 4 plays, and a 45-yard drive as Jaden Blue 5-yard touchdown run caps off the drive. That takes 35 seconds. They're up 35-0 with 23 seconds left, and that takes us to halftime. Quinn Ewers at halftime, 17 of 25, 297 yards, 4 touchdowns. Aiden Warner, for comparison, 7 of 12, 64 yards, 1 interception. 74 rushing yards for Florida at this point, and look, that certainly helps tell the story. As we all know, it needed to be carrying the offense. And no, it was going to be a tough task, but certainly a stat we were going to look at. If Florida wanted to stay in this game early, was going to have to run the ball. 74 rushing yards, not going to cut it. Florida was 1 of 7 on 3rd down in the first half. We'll get to the second half. That won't take much longer. Florida starts at their own 25. They get the ball after halftime. Ball for a gain of 9. On 2nd down, Warner tries to take a shot under pressure. Ball gets tipped, and another interception for Texas. Texas ball at the Florida 31. 3rd and 13 eventually at the Florida 34 for Texas. And wide receiver screen for Isaiah Bond goes for a 34-yard touchdown. So you got him where you wanted him. 3rd and 13, 34-yard touchdown for Isaiah Bond. 42-0 early in the 3rd quarter. A career high 5 touchdown passes for Quinn Ewers in the game. Gators get the ball back, start at their own 25. After a few Jackson runs, it gets 3rd and 2 near midfield. And Jaden Ball Wildcat gets 4 yards. 3rd and 6 a couple plays later. Warner finds Ball for 7 and a first down. Also, roughing the passer on Texas, so the ball's at the Texas 22. 3rd and 8 and Ball for 16 down to the 6. 1st and goal. Eventually gets to 3rd and goal and an incomplete pass. Florida brings up the field goal unit, keeps the scoring streak alive. Yay, hooray. 42-3 Texas. Texas starts from the 25 on the next drive, and already Arch Manning comes in. Quinn Ewers done for the day midway through the third quarter. After a failed deep shot, it's 3rd and 15. Manning has time and finds Blue on the sideline, but the pass isn't completed. It's right there on the sideline. He's juggling it as he's going out of bounds. Punt for Texas. Florida gets the ball at their own 44. Good field position. Get to 3rd and 2. Jackson runs for 8 to the Texas 40. First down, rollout pass to Boardingham for a gain of 12 down to the 28. Next play, Warner finds DK over the middle in the RPO slant for 13 down to the 16-yard line. On second down, Jackson runs for 7, gets the ball down to the 4-yard line. First and goal, ball gains 2. Next play, ball gets the touchdown. First touchdown of the day for the Gators, 42-10 Texas. Texas gets the ball on their own 25. First big run of the day from a Texas running back as Blue gets 45 yards on a run to the left. On the first play of the fourth quarter, Jarrett Gibson runs for a 14-yard touchdown, 49-10 Texas. Florida gets the ball back, goes 3 and out. Texas not doing much either. Florida gets the ball at their own 33 with 11:40 left in the game. First turnover for the Gators calls right here, though. Texas not doing much. Fumble by Jarrett Gibson, forced by Miles Graham, recovered by Aaron Gates. So Florida with the ball, 11:40 left in the game. First turnover for the Gator defense. Great drive here by the Gators. Offense, carried by Warner to DK connection as they hooked up for a 20-yard play on the first play of the drive, and then later a 16-yard gain. The combo hooked up for Jacoby Jackson had runs of 9, 4, 11, and a 7-yard touchdown run. That made it 49-17 Texas. Texas got the ball back, 8:27 left in the game. They ran the clock out for the final 8:27 of the game, down in the ball in goal-to-go situation, 49-17 final. There's your story, recap of the game. Let's go back to some key stats I wanted to, if you listen to the preview, some key stats that I threw out there. Texas has recorded a takeaway in every game this season, and of course, that continues. Coming into the game, they had forced 17 turnovers, 12 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and forced multiple turnovers in 3 consecutive games in 6 of 8 games. Well, today they add 3 turnovers, so that now is 4 straight games with multiple turnovers for the Texas defense. 20 turnovers overall for them. The other key stat was Texas outscoring opponents 70-17 in the first quarter this season. 14-0 today. So add that. 84-17 on the season now. So more here as we dive into more of the stats. Texas had 9 passes of at least 20 yards. 2 of those were a 50-yarder and a 45-yarder. 2 rushes that went for 44 and 45 yards. So that's kind of where, I know. I'm looking at the strides this defense have made, and the big plays were there today. And that was something I was worried about with this, of course, because of the injuries. But in the way this game needed to play out, I talked about time of possession as a huge factor or something I would look at for this game. And it was pretty even. And I said in the preview, I was like, if it's pretty even, I don't see any way Florida wins this game. And then a lot of it, too, were explosives for Texas. Florida won the time of possession battle by, I think, like 4 minutes. But as I said, if it was going to be close, I didn't see that amounting to anything. It was probably going to have to be Florida dominating the time of possession. But at the same time, that didn't mean Florida was going to win the game because these explosives that they gave up. A lot of those in the second quarter, third quarter. But yeah, there we go. A lot of explosive plays for Texas, something we haven't seen this defense do since the turnaround. But as I said, and a lot of us pointed to, of course, lots of different offenses coming up against, comparing to the run-heavy offenses of UCF, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Georgia and Texas were going to be a bit different. Last week, you gave up some yards. You were able to create turnovers. This week, gave up a lot of yards, gave up a lot of explosives, and not be able to create turnovers, especially early in the game when it could have kept you in the game. All right, let's see. Let me bring some stats in. Oh, no, not really a whole lot to look at positively there. But let's do it. We're going to cover the game no matter the result, the same way we always do. 49-17 Texas. Total yards, 562 total yards for Texas, 329 for Florida. I believe I saw, though, that was the highest Texas has given up all year. Now, that's up to you to decide how much garbage time means to you as far as that is certainly a factor. 210 rushing yards for Texas, 197 for Florida. I put up a poll this morning on Twitter, over under 150 yards, because Texas wasn't giving up. I think they were giving up 105 yards a game. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Give up 197. As I said, it's up to you to decide how much garbage time comes into the plays here. Average per rush, 6.8 for Texas, 4.8 for the Gators. Both teams with 2 rushing touchdowns. Net passing yards, 352 for Texas, 132 for Florida. Total plays, 64 for Texas, 66 for the Gators. I think overall, we would just had loved to see 41 rushing attempts, but 4.8 yards a rush. So if Florida was going to win this game in any form or fashion, okay, probably, maybe 50 rushing attempts, 55 rushing attempts for about, 5.5 yards per game or per rush was probably your path to a victory here, because we know the limitations at quarterback. Average yards per play, 8.8 for Texas, 5 for the Gators. Gators with 41 rushes, 25 passes. Texas really balanced, 31 rushes, 33 passes. Gators 3 of 4 in the red zone. Texas 2 of 4. Florida 1 of 2 with field goals made. 2 rushing touchdowns. 6 of 14 for the game for the Gators on third down. 5 of 11 for Texas. Not great on third down for the Longhorns. Fourth down, 2 of 2 for Texas. Florida didn't have a fourth down try. Florida 5 penalties for 50 yards. Texas 7 for 70. And like I said, time of possession, 32.06 for the Gators, 27.54 for Texas. Their explosive plays coming into, play there. And a lot of short drives for them because of the turnovers they were able to create and their explosive drives. Tackles for loss, 3 for the Gators, 4 for Texas. Gators with only 1 credited quarterback hurry. And look, that's where it comes in for me. And kind of the critique of, there's a lot of injuries and all that. And there's not a lot of injuries up front for this Gator team. They're still pretty healthy up front. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hurry. We can't get better play up front. Help that secondary that's playing with Triquez Bridges at corner, Cormani McClain at corner, who now we see some growing pains from Cormani right now as he's getting more playing time. Shifting. I think DD did play a little bit today. But still, now granted, we know this is. I thought Florida did a better job of pressuring Georgia last week. They were forcing Carson Beck to throw some balls early, helping cause some of those turnovers. Some nice blitzes last week. Just wasn't working today for the Gators. 1 credited quarterback hurry, only 1 sack. So just not a lot of havoc created by the Gator defense. And look, that's up front. That's up front where you are you're still playing with the core of your starters on defense. Let's see. For the Gators, Aiden Warner finishes today 12 of 25, 132 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 48% completion percentage, quarterback rating of 76.4. Chimere Dike, when Elijah Badger was out, so limited at the wide receiver spot as well. Chimere Dike still being able to put some plays together, 5 catches, 95 yards. Arlis Boardingham, look, there wasn't much behind DK. 12 completions altogether. He's got 5 of them. 2 for Boardingham, 1 for Jacoby Jackson, 1 for Jaden Ball, 1 for Marcus Burke, 1 for Aiden Mizell, 1 for Tank Hawkins. And then Hawkins Mizell in the form of screen passes. Nothing down the field. Florida rushing the ball, Jackson and Ball both have 19 attempts for the game, 116 yards for Jackson, 88 yards for Ball, 6.1 yards for Jackson, 4.6 for Ball. 2 weeks in a row now, Jackson putting together a nice performance here. Florida's defense. Aaron Gates leads the way with 8 total tackles. True freshman Miles Graham with 5. Jordan Castell with 4. Bridges, Thornton, Pyburn also with 4. One of the rare times we do not see Pup Howard up there near the top. Have to follow up on that. I know I saw him early in the game. I remember seeing Miles Graham more. Of course, the game I got out of hand. So probably at some point getting some younger guys some playing time. I have to follow up on that on the replay and just kind of see how the participation for some of these players were. I mean, Shamar James only with 2, Aaron Childs with 2, so not your usual suspects up there as far as Pup Howard goes and the tackle numbers. Overall, not a great day. Not a great day. Quinn Ewers, 19 of 27, 333 yards, 5 touchdowns, 70% completion percentage, a rating of 235.1. Arch Manning comes in, 3 of 6, 19 yards. Not much doing there in the second half for him. Texas receiving, spreading the ball out. Kind of an MO of theirs. Blue with 3 catches, 67. Golden, 3 catches, 64. Wisner, 3 catches, 59. Bond, 3 catches, 55. Helm, 3 catches, 42. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players with at least 3 or with 3 catches. Golden had 2 touchdowns. Wisner with 1. Bond with 1. Helm with 1. As you see, they're long there. Blue had a 45-yarder. Golden a 32-yarder. Wisner a 50-yarder. Bond a 34-yarder. Helm 22-yarder. Spreading the ball out a lot was Texas. Russian, Jarrett Gibson, 16 attempts, 100 yards, 6.3 yard average. He led the way for the Longhorns, carrying the ball. All right. There we go. Not a pretty look at all. Okay, here we go. Get back to some of these comments here. Pat Boy says, this season's been full of mixed emotions, but we are stuck with Billy at this point, whether you like it or not. That buyout money needs to be used for an OC and NIL. Well, that's supposed to be the plan. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Yeah, whether we like it or not, that's it. If you get more performances like this, we've seen it. We've seen that that vote of confidence not mean things in the past. Texas with Tom Herman, their vote of confidence was after the season, and 3 weeks later fired Tom Herman. In a very similar graphic that was released, just like Scott Strickland released his. So it wouldn't be unprecedented for something like that to happen if the results continue like this. Here's a scary scenario, but, if DJ doesn't come back, certainly a plausible one. At this point, I don't even know if we can beat FSU, says Jordan Kelly. Jeremy, I think it was you. I don't mean to shout you out here, but yeah, you said we played a top 10 team. Sure, we did, but I think you were the one who told me you were going to laugh when the final score was going to be a lot closer. I told you, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I had a pretty big spread in this one, and that still wasn't close enough. Richard Hawkins says, worst coach in UF history. So we're going to bring him back, right? That's the feeling from a good bit of people out there. Let's see. Jordan Kelly brings up a good point. Comparisons can get you in trouble sometimes, but this is another angle of thinking about this. We played a top 10 team last week too, and it was a lot closer. And DJ only got 1 touchdown. There you go. Yeah. that's a true scenario as well. And a Georgia team that beat Texas. Okay, I'm just now looking at the Georgia Ole Miss game, and holy fog. 22-10 Ole Miss, if you guys are not watching. If you're not even listening, if you're listening to the replay, sorry, you probably already know the result of this game. But, man, Fog Bowl. Sean Mack, lower expectations. Come on, Dave. I didn't say lower expectations. That was my defense. You don't lower expectations. Night of Faith. Oof. Hey, Dave, Gators should be happy with this loss. Now they can go to Chuck E. Cheese and take selfies with Chucky. Okay. I'm assuming that's kind of the narrative of the whole participation stuff. All right. Let's see. Thanks, guys, for hopping in. Trying to get through some of these comments. Sorry for the long pause of Under Pressure says nothing's going to change until we make a change. I do wonder what the, off season is going to be like if this continues to happen. We got to see what the portal holds and roster acquisition holds, but I know a lot of people it doesn't really matter with no belief at the top. I don't really agree with this. Who are you going to get if you fire Billy? Nobody will want to coach here. Florida fans are stupid. Plenty of people want to coach here. And I think for the response from a lot of people are going to go with is anybody would be better than what we've seen. And that's certainly an angle. That can hold weight. It's been bad. Richard Hawkins. I mean, we'll see. But this is kind of their the narrative. Not watching next year. This is unacceptable. Will people stick to that? Will they say it now? Get sucked in the offseason? Wolf Gator says, fan base is close to reaching the point at which they will fully accept being mediocre to average. It has been 15 years, and another few years it will be complete standard. It has been 15 years, and another few years, and it will be complete. The standard will be lowered. Well, I'm just telling you, don't quit shouting it. Jeremy, one more time. Number 17. What did y'all expect? I expected to play. I expected to play a little bit better. That's what I expected. We're here in year 3 of a tenure of a coach, and we keep making excuses. Here's the thing. Number 17. What did y'all expect? I expect Florida by year 3 of Billy Napier to be a top 10 team. That's not too much to ask. Granted, as I said, and then we got to talk about scenarios. Well, the scenario, we're not. So, okay, yeah, maybe you expect it today. But overall, I expect Florida in year 3 of any head coach, Billy Napier, Lane Kiffin, Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, Ron Zook. I had the same expectations for him. I had the same expectations for Will Muschamp. I had the same expectations for Jim McElwain. In year 3 of any coach, I expect to be a championship contender, not making excuses. I don't care what it was before Billy Napier or any head coach or any situation. 3 years is enough. And especially at the University of Florida, you have enough resources to be a contender. I ain't saying a consistent contender right now. No, we know behind the scenes that they're not. But we expect and should expect better than what we've gotten. So what do I expect? I expect to be better in year 3. I don't care what the scenario is. Woo, there we go. Oh man, there's a lot of comments. I gotta get caught up there. A little fired up too, huh? Wolf, I agree. I'm tired of other fans yelling that I should not have high expectations. I choose to have high expectations. You should. You should. As a collective, if it got to that point where the expectation isn't that, then it will never get back. Come on, Dave. You should know that we have to wait 8 years until you win 7 games in a year. Yeah. Hashtag Gator Standard. Chris Potter says Princely with another sack. Yeah, I didn't like losing Princely. I know people wanted to defend that one. Did not like that one. I mean, would have been nice to have some sacks today, huh? J.K. Marshall. Just look at the 4 teams we beat this year. They're pathetic. We're pathetic. Ouch. Seth O'Brien. I will still watch and likely travel in for a game or two, but man, nothing would make me happier than Strickland being fired, announced right now. Yeah, I mean, I still say, support. Now, some people will fight back and say if you want real change, then don't go to games, don't buy this, don't buy that. There's a lot of power in that, for sure. But, as we come into every season, it's like, hey, we get 12 of these a year. We're going to try to enjoy it. And look, believe me, fair or unfair, and you may not think it's fair. I enjoy football season, and I'm going to critique it at the same time. If it's up, we'll be up. If it's down, we'll be down. I'm not going to dig our head in the sand. Try to be fair. Now, fair is subjective. I will fully admit that. You may not think I'm fair. That's fine. We're not going to agree. We can't be respectful. And most of the time, as long as you don't name call and take it too far, I'm all for conversation. A lot of you guys have been with me long enough to know that. All right. But Curry, that's another thing, too. Yeah, we can't just gloss over that. All these injury excuses for Napier, and we were healthy against Miami and A&M at home and got destroyed. He's a terrible coach. Yeah, I don't know why people want to gloss over that just because Florida started playing a little bit better. You don't forget those 2 games, especially now. Look at Miami. People wanted to defend it for a little while, say, oh, yeah, look, they're a top 10 team. They're a top 5 team. While at the same time saying they were overrated and lucky to get out with so many games that finally come back and bit them today. The loss against Georgia Tech was trending in what we have seen many games Miami this year. And Florida got blown out by that team. Florida got blown out by a team that was barely escaping ACC mediocre teams. And we're supposed to forget that? You can. I won't. All righty. Good stuff, guys. Wish it was better. Certainly want to watch the end of this Ole Miss Georgia, and hopefully it ends the way last week did not end in a Georgia loss. So certainly going to do that. Get ready for these night games as well. Bama, LSU. But hope you guys came in here, enjoyed a somewhat good conversation. A good bit of conversation in here. Thanks for whatever side of the fence you're on. Thanks either way, hopping in here. Like I said, I'm all for the conversation. We're not going to agree, especially when the losses are mounting up. There's not going to be a lot of agreement. Some people are going to believe no matter what. And that's their right, and that's the way they want to view it. Go right ahead. The other side, when losses mount up, you're going to hear a lot of criticism. You're not going to get everybody on the same page when it looks like this. The only way you get everybody on the same page is if you're winning. That is it. All right, a couple more. John Dooley, I'm tired of them saying the team is not giving up on Billy. It is getting a little ridiculous. It does seem like there's a popular word, narrative out there, especially, in the booths and on game day and in the booth with Tess and Jess and all that. And Florida's down 42-0 or whatever the score is. And, they're not giving up. It gets a little old. J.K. Marshall, of course, looking big picture, players worth their weight will be bolting for the portal. Why would they not? Who wants another year of this? That's something you're going to have to combat. We talked about that last week too. Granted, I know. I know there's a lot of players that love Billy Napier. Absolutely, they do. But then you also got guys who, like Trevor Etienne, contributors and are going to go off somewhere so they can try and win before they get out of here. And unfortunately, that's the situation in college football right now. Princely's another example. Now, there's a little bit of locker room stuff going on there too. But still, at the same time, he's an impactful player. If he really wanted to stay, you sit him down and here's what you got to do. Here's what we got to do. Let's come together and come to a resolution. Oh. All right. There we go. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hopping in. Wish it was under better circumstances, but here we are talking about another loss. 49-17, Texas over the Gators. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.